Welcome back to Coffee Talk with Mel. And yes, we are here at the Coffee Grinder again, located at 961 Namqua Drive in Warwick, Rhode Island. And today I have a very special guest, top producing agent and broker owner, Tyler Bernadyn. Hi, thanks for coming, Tyler.
Thanks for having me, Mel.
Absolutely. So, Tyler's history in real estate is pretty quite amazing. And really what I want you to share today is how you went from good to great. And the fact that you are so just a few years in being licensed in 2018 to becoming a top producer and a Titan agent in 2024. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
So proud of you. So tell us a little bit about what made you get into real estate and how you started, my friend.
Yeah, it all kind of happened very organically. I come from a hospitality background. I was bartending at a place in downtown Newport called Midtown. And a friend of mine, Dakota Cowell, had been licensed. And he decided, hey, you know what? I'm sending out a lot of referrals for rentals. My family's involved in property. It's probably a good idea that I should be doing this rather than passing that opportunity off to someone else. When he got licensed, I thought it was a pretty symbiotic move. You know, you're very forward-facing behind the bar, and it's a lot of service-based relationships rather than sales. You know, you're selling drinks just like you're selling houses. So when he got licensed, I thought it would be beneficial for me to do the same, and that's where I initially started. I got my license and hung it at William Ravis, which is a smaller boutique brokerage in, I think they're Connecticut-based.
Okay.
But they had an office location right near Stop and Shop on Bellevue and Broadway.
Oh, okay. Yep. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because I feel as though a lot of the top producing agents, at least in the state of Rhode Island, a lot of them have bartending backgrounds, which is really interesting.
It's a natural progression. And honestly, it's two different industries that are very beneficial for one another. I know Joe bartended, Justine, I think.
I just found that out.
Yeah. So you're 100% right. I think a lot of people that come from the service industry have found success as a result of their experiences in real estate.
So you started with William Ravis, and then what made you move to Remax?
So Joe Fitz had always been a good friend of mine. We'd always had conversations. When I was licensed, I was doing it very part-time.
Okay.
So got licensed 2018. It was really not until 2020 that I started diving in.
Oh, the pandemic.
The pandemic. So it kind of fell into a really advantageous time to get into real estate. They were giving away money. Interest rates are in the 2s and 3s. Everybody was looking to buy. So transitionally, it was an opportune time for me to make a switch. It was also tough because in the service industry, and you know this, owning a coffee shop, me being very people forward, having 3 or 4 tiers of guests at the bar and wanting to interact with them, you couldn't. There were partitions, there were masks, there were rules about how long you could sit at the bar. There were rules as to what time you could sit at the bar until. I'll never forget, we were on Block Island and there was a guy at Mahogany Shoals, and he put his shirt over his head, big guy, you know, he probably had a few cocktails that night, but he came up to us and he's like, guys, it's 10:45. I'm the COVID monster. By 11 o'clock, I'm going to come get you. I'll leave you alone for now. But in 15 minutes, you're against Rhode Island regulations, and I'm coming for you.
COVID monster. I like that.
So he was being a little facetious, but my whole world changed because a lot of what I loved doing, bartending, involved human interaction. You know, so at that point, you know, I kind of lost my love and affinity for what I was doing, and I thought it was a good opportunity for me to transition into a new career. And that's when I really dove into real estate full-time and joined Joe and his team at Remax.
And what made you choose the Fitzpatrick team? Obviously, Joe, right?
Yeah, I mean, Joe had a lot to do with it. Justine had a lot to do with it. And at the time, I had a lot of friends who were, and still are, you know, agents on the team. I had seen their success in the local market. I had seen how community-focused they were, which is really kind of how I wanted to tailor my business. And it just made sense for me. They had a system and structure where I could move into that I didn't necessarily have at my previous brokerage. That builds steps for success.
So once you joined the Fitzpatrick team, I mean, you really went from doing okay to 100% to platinum to Titan. So how did you just, you know, take those ginormous steps up the ladder so quickly?
I think anything that I've found myself doing, whether it was hospitality driven, whether it was in management, whether it was a hobby, I'm never a dip your toe in the pool kind of guy.
110%, just like me.
I'm more of a cannonball or dive head first and see what happens.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I mean, that's just a personality trait of mine, but it's beneficial for me in the career choices that I've made. When I was bartending, I wanted to be the best bartender. You can go to 30, 50, 100 places and get a Tito's and soda, but what you remember is the experience that you had.
Of course.
Right? There are thousands of licensed agents in Rhode Island, but I wanted to make sure that I was an experience-driven agent and somebody who provided a service, not sell you something.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very blessed now, and I always say to clients and consumers that I'm working with, you know, my business is based on referrals.
Yeah,
And
mine
I like
too.
to be a consultant by referral only. You know, there's a reason why we're sitting down today. There's a reason why I'm in your house and we're talking about a listing appointment. It's because so-and-so introduced me to you. And I think once people start really diving into the sphere and relationships that they have, they're going to see so much success because you're doing it very deliberately and you're doing it very intentionally.
And if you do it for the right reasons and you actually care, people are going to come back to you over and over and over. They're going to tell their friends, they're going to tell their family, they're going to tell their parents, they're going to tell their kids. They're going to become a raving fan of yours. And from what I have seen with your success and knowing other people on your team, you know, everybody is just the utmost respect for you and how you handle and treat your clients. Any client is lucky to be able to work with you.
Well, I appreciate that, Mel, and obviously the feeling is reciprocal. But it's great. I mean, I love what I do. I think that's another thing that goes down to the foundational aspect of success. If you show up to what you're doing, say you're selling vacuums door to door, and every time you go up to a door, you're dreading what you're doing, or you hate showing up, or you get out of bed and you're going through the motions. You know, you hear a lot of people who are in the world of corporate America or finance, and they're like, yeah, sure, it's a
pays the
paycheck,
bills, yeah.
but it's a paycheck.
Yeah.
Like, I don't look at work as a paycheck. I look at it as an opportunity to help somebody who I care about or I've been introduced to. And I'm excited about it. Like today, for example, not every day is the same. So it's kind of cool where you don't have that aspect of monotony. You know, it doesn't feel like Groundhog Day where every day is the exact same.
I could not
with
do
a few
that.
little tweaks.
Yeah.
Like, we started our day this morning at 2 different properties for listings that we have coming in the market. Then Sam and I made our way over to Bethany, my fiance, her hotel. And we did
Awesome.
some content shoot with her. You know, then we went to Newport Mental Health, which is an organization that I'm very blessed to be on the board of directors for. And we're doing a video for brand awareness and kind of get some more nonprofit content out into the world and kind of share the message
Just
of
make
what they're
society
doing.
be a little bit more aware.
And now I'm sitting in a coffee shop with you talking about real estate, life, liberty, and everything else. So.
And what we love to do. I mean, I was driving home the other night from volleyball, and I was just thinking, I'm so grateful to have had my path lead me to where I am today. Because if you had told me 20 years ago I'd be here today, I would have laughed at you. If you had told me 10 years ago I'd be where I am today, I would have been like, oh, really?
100%.
But you just have to put one foot in front of the other day after day after day, and it will come. But you have to do it for the right reasons, and you have to do it because you care about others and you want them to succeed. Because if everyone's succeeding around you, guess what? You're going to succeed too.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you dive in and you give something your all, you're always going to find success on the other side. It's an
100%.
inevitability. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it takes tweaks. Sometimes it takes the right tools and techniques to get there. But it's not one size fits all.
Oh,
Right?
no.
Everybody has their own path to success. My lead gen strategies are probably different than what yours are.
Oh, 100%. Even, you were saying, how every day is different, I've been working with these two women, and I've shown them two things over about a year period, right? Because they had reached out to me last year, and I showed them something yesterday morning at 9 a.m., and they were like, this is it. We know it's it. And so I'm diligently working with them to make sure the numbers make sense, because at the end of the day, that's, to me, the most important piece, right, is the numbers.
I couldn't agree more.
And if you're comfortable with those numbers and you're not going to be stretched, then it's like, okay, this is like where I can be. And I'm so excited for these girls, and I know it's going to work out. And I can't wait to show them this podcast afterwards so I can be like, look, see, I told you it was going to work out.
I put that in the universe for you.
Absolutely.
I think a big point that you just made there, Mel, is that you're not like, I think too many people get lost in the sauce of, I'm in sales, I'm selling you a home, or I'm doing this. I don't sell anybody anything. I don't spend anybody's money. What I do provide is a service, and I make sure that they have as much professional information that they need to digest to make an educated decision that's in the best interest of them and their family.
And for their future.
100%. You're a service provider.
100%. And, you know, going back to like the salesy pitch, I just remember early on in my career, you know, I'd go into a house and I'd be like, oh, well, this is wrong, or, you know, nobody's going to like this. And, you know, and then I read a book somewhere along the lines. I've read lots of books. And it was The Art of, you know, shutting the blank up, right? And so I realized that I was shooting myself in the foot, because something that I think might not work, it might actually be perfect for that person. So I shifted, and I said, all right, let me see and let me have them give me feedback. And honestly, that book I read early on in my career, thank goodness I did, because sometimes I do talk too much, Tyler.
Well, no, not you, Mel. That sounds very out of character. No, but you're 100% right. I think less is more, right? So many times it's me. Look what I can do. Let me tell you how I can sell your house. Look at all my accolades. Look at this. Is this swear-friendly podcast?
Sure, go
Just
right
shut
ahead.
the fuck up
Yeah.
and listen.
Seriously.
Right? As soon as I realized, this probably took me 2.5, almost 3 years into my career to realize, when you go into a listing presentation,
They don't care about you.
ask questions. They should already know about you, because if I'm a consumer and I'm selling an asset, regardless of what it's priced at, you best believe this is a job interview.
Of course.
I want to know who is coming into my home, who I'm sitting down with. So I already know how many houses you sold last year. I already know what your clients are saying in your reviews. And if you're a smart agent, you've already sent them all that information up front. So that when you get to that house, the only conversations that are being had are about that property and their goals, because that is all that matters. So the more I realized that asking the right questions guide you to the answers that you're looking for, that's as good as gold. And I stopped selling. And as soon as you stop selling, then you're able to serve the people who you're blessed enough to represent.
I like that. Stop selling and just serve. And that's what we're doing, is we're providing a customer service to folks, holding their hands to help them create and build wealth year over year.
People say all the time, what's your compensation, right? What's your commission? I say, I don't have a compensation. I don't have commission. I have a professional services fee.
That's what I say too.
And this is what
100%.
I charge, and here's why I charge it. And by the time I'm done, if they have any question about my value add to this process from start to finish, then maybe they're not the right client for me. Or maybe I'm not the right fit for them.
100%. You know, I even saw a statistic that in 2024, 76% of licensed real estate agents sold 0 houses.
Staggering.
I mean, if you look at our production, I mean, we are obviously clearly in the top, 1 to 5%, just in the state of Rhode Island. And that's just us being us. We're not going out there and buying a ton of leads like some of these people do. It's strictly from the relationships that we've formed throughout the years. One good story I have for you, and I know you'll appreciate it, is last week or the week before, I'm sitting on my couch with my dog, and all of a sudden I get a text message, and I save everyone's name, and usually sometimes I don't put their last name. I'll just put like a little emoji, and so I played
Sam Coffee Grinder.
Yeah, exactly. And so this girl, Lily, contacted me, and she was like, hey, Mel, I don't know if you remember me, but we played volleyball together 6 years ago. I'm like, of course I remember you. Like, we had so much fun, and I love
She's in your phone as Mel Volleyball.
Yeah, she's in my phone as Lily with the little volleyball icon, right? And she's like, my husband and I are looking to move back to Rhode Island. And I said, absolutely. And I set up a buyer consultation, and I'm taking them out. And they are just such sweet people. She made cupcakes, gave me cupcakes at our first showing. I'm like, I'm obsessed with you already.
I need to get some of those clients.
No, so nice. But the fact that she remembered me, my personality, and I mean, I always talk about real estate. It's part of my personality, and I think she just remembered that. And she just remembered, I think, me being kind to everybody at the end of the day.
And I think that is where a lot of new agents maybe go wrong, is that they're not out there. People don't know what they do. Or when they make an interaction, like, this is going to sound worse than, maybe not worse, but it's going to come off different than I want it to. But I know when I meet someone, they likely know what I do, right? But it's a first impression. Every single person in this profession, if you don't work, you don't get paid. And if you don't have relationships, or you're not finding ways to network with different consumer bases or different potential clients, then you're not doing much, right? You don't have a foundation to build on. But I know that every interaction or every involvement with a new person is potential business in the future.
100%.
Whether it's not from them, I've made a great impression on them. They know what industry I'm in. Maybe they have an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a neighbor, a family friend, somebody that they work with that does need service and does have real estate goals or aspirations that they're trying to meet.
And then they'll be like, Tyler.
Exactly.
Yep.
Right. So I think getting yourself out there, making sure that people understand what you do, and then building relationships, but building them very intentionally.
And being involved,
being
whether,
involved.
you know, for me, I love playing volleyball, right? I love owning the coffee shop. You know, these are things where I'm interacting with people all of the time. And then, you know, people know me in the Warwick community because I grew up here, right? So, I mean, you just see, you really see that sphere of influence really come back with your clients. It's really, really amazing.
And going back to that point, you mentioned there was, 70% plus of agents who were licensed last year in the United States didn't sell a single home.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. So a lot of the new agents that are coming into the industry, and there's a lot of negativity that's kind of floating around out there, but a lot of the new agents that come in, I try to set an expectation with them. I say, guys, listen, this is very proprietary. You're coming into a brand new industry. You have to expect to not be paid for a couple months before maybe that first paycheck comes in. You know, unless you already have clients who are ready to go pre-approved and looking to buy or sell property.
I tell people to have thousands
You have
saved
and you
because it takes time.
You start planting seeds.
100%.
And then what happens after you plant a seed? You have to nurture it if you want it to grow. And then by the time that it's done growing to the point where they're ready, now it's time to harvest it, right? And I think a lot of people come in and they think they're going to have immediate success, and that's not always the way it works. But I think our industry is glamorized.
Yes.
Selling Sunset, Ryan Serhant with
I can't watch any of
New
it.
York. It's not what a day in our life looks like, does it, Mel?
No, not at all. It does not. I'm on ladders installing smoke detectors just so I can get the smoke cert so we can close in 2 days.
Putting statues in the back of the truck because the seller left something behind in the basement. At closing.
calling my junk guy because there are 30 concrete blocks and a 2-car garage filled with old, like wood pieces and vinyl siding and everything under the sun. I mean, just absolutely insane, Tyler.
And for all the horror stories that we do have, I feel like real estate's a lot like golf, right?
Okay.
People complain, they bitch, they moan, they have a bad shot. I'm never playing golf. I snapped my driver. I threw my putter into the water. But then on that last hole, you get a birdie and it makes it all worthwhile.
And it's like, I'm coming back.
I'm coming back tomorrow.
back, baby.
I can't wait. I love golf.
This is so much
my
fun.
favorite sport.
I know.
There are a lot of blessings, and we go through a lot of stuff and a lot of stress, and that's the reality of the industry that we've chosen to be a part of. But like just this past year alone, my brother bought a house, which was
that's
probably the
awesome.
most rewarding moment of my career. Yeah. And I was part of it from start to finish. And it was a multiple offer situation. And I did everything that I could. I even called the listing agent. And the listing agent, props to him. I called the listing agent. I said, listen, this is for my brother. This isn't just a client. And I would treat every client as if they're family. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to waive my commission or compensation. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get my brother this home because I know this is what he wants.
Of course.
And he goes, no, you work too hard for that. We're going to make sure that you get paid. Just include what your professional services fee on the contract, and I'll put this offer to the seller. And it was great. My cousin bought a house. Like, how cool is it to work with family and friends or people that you've built relationships with to help them achieve what is likely the biggest financial investment of their life?
So my first client was one of my really, really, really good friends when I got licensed in 2005. And I'll never forget that because she took a chance on me, right? She took a chance on me, and it was awesome. And now her brother is one of my top investors that I work with all the time.
Comes full circle.
He actually gave me the pews for the coffee shop.
Get out of here.
Isn't that really cool? Yeah, I helped him buy a church in New York, in Niagara Falls, and he shipped the pews out to me, which was really, really amazing.
He said, and also with you, Mel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, and it's like, that's the thing that people don't see. People don't see the 10 years, 20 years of grinding to get to this level of success. I mean, for you, I feel like you definitely, galloped up the ladder, let's say. Even, and I want to touch base a little bit on this because, not only are you licensed real estate agent, but now you are a broker owner with Remax Results, which is super exciting. So what made you decide to jump into that role with everything awesome that you have going on as an agent?
We were with Remax Professionals in Newport when I first joined Joe and his team, and they were great. Love Bruce, love Joe, two legends. They're honestly the founders of Remax in Rhode Island. So hats off to them. We knew that we were growing, and we were growing in all the best ways possible. And we just thought that we had an opportunity to build something from the ground up and start from square one and really kind of curate a brokerage that was based on everything that we wanted to do. And handpick agents that, one wanted to align with us and came and approached us when they heard that we were moving towards the results direction. And then two different teams and individuals that we thought were very community focused and very results driven, which is really where we hang our hat.
Yep.
And it's been great. I mean, we opened September 2023. Obviously you have growing pains. But the beauty of it is we are part of a brokerage where everyone is ready, willing, and able to give back and then some. Everybody is willing to share. I can call you if I'm having an issue in Warwick or I called you about Governor Francis Farms.
Of course.
And I was like, Mel, can you tell me a little bit about this neighborhood?
Good.
Because it's not my bread and butter.
Of course. Yeah.
Right?
And I'm willing to share all the time.
Always. And I think that's beautiful because it's not me, it's we.
Of course.
And it's a collective group of very talented individuals. We are blessed to be surrounded by the people that we have in the brokerage who are, what's working for you? What are you doing well? Hey, here's where I'm lacking. Can you help me with this?
100%.
And everybody's willing to share, and everybody's willing to grow, and everybody's hungry.
And I think one of the things too is agents in this marketplace, they need to be receptive. They need to say, okay, you know what? I may be doing really, really well, but you know what? I can improve in certain areas. The way that I look at it is, I feel like there's never enough time and effort and everything to know everything about real estate. I mean, we live in New England. I mean, some of our properties are from the 1700s. I mean, I literally sold the 1700s house last year, Post Road, right? And, so you have all these different eras of homes that were built, all these different locations, then they all have, great things about them. So I think, everybody just needs to realize that, there's some things you're not going to know. I'm in houses, I learn things all the time. Even literally the last inspection I was at, I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know that. And, can you explain it a little more to me? And, I feel as though people just really need to be receptive to learning.
And I think the way that my brain was wired, it's same thing in hospitality. You can learn something new. You can learn a new recipe. You can learn a new technique. When I came into real estate 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I had this New Year's resolution. And I thought it was a brilliant idea. I'm very trivial. I watch Jeopardy every night, like a 35-year-old who's going on 75.
I'm a Wheel of Fortune girl myself, so you know what? We'd be a great pair.
So, from a trivial perspective or learning something new every day, my New Year's resolution was I want to learn something new every day.
Love that.
And then I got full-time into real estate, and I'm like, this is actually my job, so I need to switch up my resolution. But even now, you can never stop learning. And you 100%. Can never stop growing or building or taking a new tool or strategy to implement into your business that's going to lead you to new avenues of success because you haven't explored that in the past.
100%. Well, I'm really excited that you decided to take on that role, and I couldn't be happier being with Remax Results.
And we couldn't be happier to have you, Mel. You know that.
I appreciate that. I feel like, Joe's always been a sharer, and I've had many conversations with him throughout the years. And, one of my things was, why did you stay with Remax? And it really hit home when I asked him that question, and we were talking, and it just kind of all came together.
Joe's also an oversharer too. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but
I like it. Yeah. I would rather have an oversharer than an undersharer.
You're not an oversharer, are you, Mel?
Oh, I'm a TMIer.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
The info that you don't really need to know, but people like to hear, and sometimes it's comical. So on that note, let me ask you, what would you say is your craziest real estate story that you've had so far?
Craziest. I got to go through the mental Rolodex here because I feel like every other week there's something crazy. I wouldn't say that this is maybe the craziest, but you deal with a lot of different personalities in real estate. You deal with good, bad, ugly, in between. I always try to treat everybody with respect. That's my non-negotiable.
Until you can't.
You're having You're having good days, you're having bad days. You never know what somebody is going through, you know. But a couple years ago, I dealt with sellers who were less than kind. We'll put it that way. It was a difficult deal. We ended up getting across the finish line. I always like to keep in touch.
That's impressive that you got across the finish
Yes,
line.
it was. And, you know, we definitely celebrated that closing. I'll
Yes.
tell you that much. But I look back on that and I was like, what can I learn? What can I take away from this? You know, how can I get better? What can I do different? And that was just a seller client that I decided for my own mental well-being, it's better now that the transaction's over that we cut ties.
And you know what? Sometimes that's it. I had to block someone. He started screaming on the phone to me like an absolute lunatic. And I was like, I'm going to get off the phone right now. And then, of course, I found out that there were some background issues after the fact. But
Sure.
I sold the house, and I was like, you know what? Even if this guy came to me with $5 million, the stress of it all just wasn't worth it. And sometimes you just don't mesh with people, and that's okay. You know, we all have our own people, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So one thing I do want to ask you though is, you know, obviously within the Remax organization, we have these different tiered awards, right?
Sure.
And you know, it's really impressive that in such a short period of time, you know, basically 4 years, you know, you really just skyrocketed to Titan. So how did you go from that 100% to platinum, from platinum to chairman's and chairman's to Titan, like so quickly?
For me, it's all about goal setting, and it's about finding out where you want to be and then what it takes to get there. So it's holding yourself accountable. It's putting in systems and strategies that are going to benefit your success and lead you to where you eventually want to be. When I joined Joe's team, I think the first year I hit platinum, and then
Of course you did.
second, I think it was either the first or the second year. But once I went from platinum to chairman, I felt what it was like to hit that elite status and be part of the elite retreat and be part of these masterminds and part of this network with all these high producing individuals from across the country. That was also the same year that I made Torchbearers, which was inspirational and very.
I think I just missed it because I was a torchbearer for a couple of years.
I think
prior
that. I think
to.
it started. Yeah,
It started. I was the first year when it started.
An OG.
I'm an OG, baby.
I love that.
Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, my first one, they brought it back to Nashville.
Oh, that's so cool.
But you meet these larger scale networks.
I know.
And all these people who are the smartest person in the room. You know, there's always that cliche mantra. If you're the smartest one in the room, you need to find a new room to be a part of. So if you lean into these networks of people who have predicated careers of success, you're going to learn and benefit from them somehow. When I hit elite that year, the following year I had a down year, and a down year brought me to platinum, which is still an incredible year.
An amazing year, absolutely.
But finding out that I was one transaction away or $5,000 away or whatever the tier was, it motivated me because
and it humbled me
and
too.
all my friends that knew that I had hit elite the year before knew that I didn't hit it this past year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So what I did is I took the number from how far away I was from platinum to chairman's, and I posted it on my door so that every day when I sat down at my desk and I shut that door, I would see that number. And it would remind me that while I'm here, I'm going to make the most of my time in the office. I'm going to do the things that I told myself that I was going to do in order to hit the other goal of making chairman's again, which was on the other side of the wall. So if I looked at the door, it was the number. If I looked to the left, it was the club level that I wanted to make. I kept my head down. I worked my ass off, and I was able to hit Titan, which is the highest that I've achieved in the Remax network. And
crushing it.
And it's, you know, it's great. And it's fantastic because I know, like, regardless of outside perception, it was a goal that I wanted to achieve. And when you achieve a goal that you set for yourself, there's a certain level of pride that comes from that.
1,000%. And I feel as though you, from what I have seen, you're very, very, very good with words. And I love our coaching sessions because I feel as though I always pick something up from you and you look at things in a different manner where I can actually apply it to my business.
It's not what you say, Mel, it's how you say it. Right?
It's so true. So my thing is, like, I feel as though how I do my business is I make people feel a certain way, whether, you know, they just feel comfortable. And I will know everybody's life story within the first 3 minutes. And then I'll share my life story. And then we're like besties, right? That's kind of how it goes. But, you know, there's a Maya Angelou saying, you know, people always will always remember the way, they might not remember what you say, but they'll always remember the way that you make them feel. And that is one thing in life that I try to leave with everyone I come across, is just that feeling of, you know, confidence. So when I'm working with buyers and sellers, sometimes it's a good thing, that they're buying and everyone's excitable and it's so exciting and we beat out X amount of offers and so on and so forth. Then there's other times where it's kind of sad, people pass away and you have to like sell the house and so on and so forth. And sometimes it's not super easy. But they're always grateful at the end of the day. Oh, 99% of the time, there's always that 1%.
Always that 1%
right?
that we just talked
Yeah,
about.
exactly. That we were just talking about. So, but I mean, I do have to say, you really, really, really are the Remax agent that went from, good, first getting into the industry as a young professional, just becoming this great, amazing Titan agent, broker owner. It's really, really impressive. So you should pat yourself on the back.
I appreciate that, Mel. And I think one of the simplest thing is just do the right thing and be kind to others. And if somebody
The golden rule.
And honestly, right now, more than ever, I feel like relationships amongst agents and brokers, they need to be solidified, right? If you open up a door and you drive to a listing that you have somewhere and you take the time to open up a door and show me around a house with the buyer client of mine, don't you think as a common courtesy that I would come back to you the next day with either, hey, we have secondary interest, I have some questions, X, Y, and Z, or this wasn't the house for them. Thank you so much for taking 20 minutes, 30 minutes out of your day to show us this house.
It's not hard, Tyler.
Here's some feedback that you can share with your sellers.
I know.
Because that is the right and professional thing to do. I can't tell you, Mel, how much it boggles my mind where you either don't get that level of reciprocity on a professional level, you call on a listing and nobody returns your call.
Nobody.
You send an email asking for disclosures or questions. It falls on deaf ears. Like, let's do better. Let's do better, not only for ourselves as professionals, but for our clients.
And it's funny that you say that because I pride myself on giving feedback. I'm always like, if I'm leaving the house and they don't like it, it takes 2 seconds. You know what? I know they're not going to buy the house, X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. This is what they like. This is what they didn't like. If you want any more information, give me a call.
It's like the Spike Lee movie. Just do the right thing.
It's so simple.
Take the high road.
So simple.
And just be kind.
And, for agents to buyers to sellers, I mean, I think we all just need to do that, especially in this world of Ring cameras. Can we all just collectively say, let's not bash houses when we're walking through them?
This sounds like a little PTSD, Mel.
I mean, come on. It's really, really, really simple. I mean, literally, we live in a day and age where I tell everyone, whether they have it or not, I'm like, there's cameras, there's audio, I don't want to have
You definitely got caught walking out and being like, that was a fucking dump.
No, so the ironic part is I haven't, but...
I definitely have.
That's amazing. I've heard horror stories, and I never want to be one of those horror stories, And sometimes, my clients will be like, oh, why were they talking right in front of the Ring camera, and they didn't like this, or they didn't like this, and blah, blah, blah.
That actually...
that's how people are.
And maybe more people should have Ring cameras, because now that I'm, talking about it, it reminds me of maybe my craziest real estate story. Well, one of them at
Bring
least.
it.
So I was told that it was during winter vacation.
Okay.
Salve kids in Newport are supposed to be home for break. So I was going to show, it was a rental property for, it was either a summer rental or a winter rental for the following year. And I was told all the kids were home. I had texted everybody on the thread. So I should have knocked. So this is one of the learning experience. You always knock no matter what. If a door is shut, you knock on it and you say hello.
Absolutely.
Go to the front door, put in the key, open up the key. I have clients right behind me. They're fantastic. Walk in the front door. What's happening on the couch, Mel? One of those Salve girls and one of her boyfriends did not go home for winter break.
Oh, my God.
And sure enough, they were celebrating the holiday season.
Oh, my. And you just
ways
walked
that
in
you
on
can
them?
imagine. Oh, yeah. Trousers at the ankles.
Stop
legs
it.
in the
That's
air.
never. Oh, my God. You must have been, dying.
We're gonna go to the next property, guys. We're going to turn around. Have fun. Happy holidays.
Oh my God, but you know what? What a great story.
And now I know to knock.
And now you not only do you knock once, you knock twice, you bang on the door.
I just think of that lovely couple now every time there's a shut door and I have to walk through it.
Oh my God, Tyler, that's actually honestly amazing. I mean, I've walked into rooms, especially on multis where people are sleeping in bed or whatever, but I've never had that experience.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So
incredible.
that brought me full circle. So
I love that. So if you had to give a brand new agent or somebody that just got their license one bit of advice today, what would that be?
Be consistent.
Ooh, I like that.
I think-
Consistency is key.
I think a lot of people that get, everybody can get their license,
Yeah.
right? There are a lot of licensees. There are very few professionals,
I agree.
right? So find somebody as a mentor, find somebody that you look up to in the industry and ask them to take you under their wing. But then be consistent with everything that you do. I think people need to look at being a licensed real estate agent as a business. As soon as you start treating what you're doing as a business and not as a hobby, not as a second job, not as I don't have my kids on Saturday or Sunday, so I can take people out to see open houses.
I think treating it as a business, you're
Once
right.
you start treating it as a business and you can be consistent with your action, you can be consistent with going to the office. I'm going to be at the office from 9 to 5, 5 days a week, or I'm going to be consistent getting clients into open houses on weekend. I'm going to be consistent with making calls on Mondays and Fridays. I'm going to be consistent with prospecting via social media on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Whatever it is that you decide to do with your business, just be consistent with it.
I love that. And I think that can be for brand new agents and for veteran agents in this industry, because I feel like there's so many agents, including myself. Look, I'm not always. So I really, really, really feel that.
Once you scale your business to the point where people are calling you for your services, then that's fantastic. That's when you know that you're an established agent.
Yeah.
But when you're walking in the door with the newly printed license and you're hanging that on the wall, you need to pride yourself and take time to do these income producing activities or things that plant those seeds like we talked about earlier.
Patient.
You have to be patient.
So, in closing today, Tyler, do you have any? I mean, I got to tell you, that story is probably one of the craziest stories I have heard yet, and we've done a lot
sorry,
of
that was a
harvest-
little too X-rated, but-
No, I absolutely love it. Is there any other? Nothing can compete with that. But is there any other stories you can think of in closing, just to leave us today?
Not stories, but I do want to give a shout out. if
I
that's
love
fair.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
So we are so blessed to have. I'm blessed to have two incredible business partners in Joe and Justine. I'm blessed to work with Michelle every day. Her and I are kind of a team within a team, but without her, we couldn't do what we do.
Michelle's amazing, and I'm so proud of her.
She is an instrumental part of the success that we have working together. It's just so nice to be able to tell a client, like, this is Michelle. We work together hand in hand to make sure that we can be in two places at once, and we're supporting you whenever you need us, right? So she's incredible. She really is. Lauren, Kayla, the marketing team, everybody that we have at Remax Results, all of our agents, I'm just so happy for where we are and where I think we're going in 2025 and beyond. It's just a great group. Like, I can't say enough about what we've built, what we're building together, and how we're growing as a brokerage.
And I'm really, really, really excited for 2025. It's the year of the snake, and my new mantra is that I am shedding everything that no longer serves me.
That's it.
So
Mamba mentality.
I like that. And honestly, I am so grateful to have you on the Coffee Talk with Mel podcast today. I can't wait to see what you do in 2025, 2026, because I just know you are just going to skyrocket even more, Tyler.
And I can't wait to see you in Vegas next week.
I know. Woo! All right, Tyler, thank you so much for being here today. And if any agent has any question about Remax Results, feel free to reach out to myself or Tyler at any time. So it's Remax Results. And of course, we're filming here today from the Coffee Grinder in Warwick, Rhode Island, located at 961 Namquid Drive. Thanks again, and have a great day.
Bye, everybody.